Alright, here we go. Hello, League fanboys and fangirls. Welcome back to Running Down Mid. I am Exile.
And I'm Funzy.
We start off with a crazy weekend of ups and downs in the LCS, with C9 riding out at the top of the weekend.
TSM getting beat by C9 in a summer split finals rematch that was anything but one-sided.
True. Bjerg and the boys did not look like they were up to par at all in this match or any other throughout the weekend.
And the rookie jungler that C9 had brought in contracts to replace Meteos scored both a first blood on Wild Turtle in the bot lane and a clean as fuck solo kill on Bjerg in the mid lane.
Yeah, not to mention, Jensen was everywhere on an off-the-wall fizz pick, killing Hanser and bot lane with impact, leading up to a triple kill in the Baron pit.
Yeah, and then that final fight with Smoothie getting behind, flanking, using the MF ult, taking out the backline of TSM, leading into a Baron kill, and then an Elder Dragon kill, which then led to the clean out of the rest of the match.
Yeah, so it definitely costed them the game. Much of the second game was much like the first, with contracts again picking up first blood, and C9 showing why they belong at the top of the standings.
Now let's take a look at that clip of C9 putting the stomp down on TSM.
One small step for man.
Host it up.
That's going to take us to our other first place team, which is FlyQuest, and leading that charge is High on his quirky murder machine. He was just flying around dropping death bombs on everyone all across the map.
He was. If anything that you should learn from this last weekend is definitely ban Corky when High is playing.
Elimination in him, I think, is the reason this team is actually in the competitive top three. The shot calling and experience that comes behind those two players is definitely showing in this team.
Yeah, so if you looked at any of their matches, watched anything at all, you could definitely tell High knowing what the other teams are trying to do, poking in, calling people out when they're trying to do Baron, calling people out when they're trying to take Dragons and any other objective is really, really good. They are winning on shot calling alone, and having an experienced player like High and Lemonation calling it together really coordinates High's roams, which has been incredibly effective this weekend.
Not only that, but Moon really stepped up. If you check the fantasy leaderboards, I think he scored almost the highest jungle out of the whole league.
So if anything from our first video, if I could take anything I said back from first video, it would be that Moon would not cut the mustard, because Moon is the second best jungler in NA in stats and standings alone, which is incredibly impressive. And because he's playing so well, and we know how great everybody else in FlyQuest is, C9 Light or HighQuest is doing muy excelente. So let's take a look at some of those highlights from FlyQuest this weekend.
One small step for man. One small step for man, giant leap for mankind. Giant leap for mankind.
Because what man can imagine, man can eat. Because what man can imagine, man can eat.
One small step for man, giant leap for mankind.
Because what man can imagine, man can eat.
One small step for man. One small step for man, giant leap for mankind.
takes us into our next on the list, which is Team Liquid, and they had a phenomenal showing this weekend. I really hope that you guys invested in them and people really start jumping on their bandwagon, because Lorlo is popping off. After all of those imports that we've had, every Korean import that we've had bring in, Lorlo went on record saying that NA guys are just as good, and he proved himself being the #1 top laner at the end of week 1. Now, I don't want to overbash or overextend or exclamate so far just to call them the best, but whew, man, Team Liquid is popping off, and Lorlo is definitely leading the charge.
Lorlo had a great showing. I think he was top in the league for the first week. But Golden Glue had a solid showing in the mid lane too, to help bolster the whole top side of the map. I think Rainover really kind of didn't seem to hit his mark. There was some flashes of genius in there, but it seemed like towards the end game, he just didn't know how to mingle with the team, and that could come with experience if they play and practice a little bit.
So Rainover did not perform. He was the second worst jungler in NA after week 1. He had the most deaths and the least amount of kills. That's really, really bad in comparison to Rainover last year. I think the reason why he's doing so bad is because of the meta change. He's trying to play champions that he was used to playing last summer, last spring, and there's a lot more assassins, a lot more heavy top lane play, and because there's a lot more heavy top lane play and a lot more assassin play, he's not able to farm at his pace like he used to. There's just a lot more going on, and he hasn't been able to catch up. I don't think that it spells doom for Rainover. I do feel like after some practice and playing more in the meta, he'll come back to form. But yeah, it was a really poor showing for him this weekend.
He had a couple mistakes where he tried to counter jungle or apply pressure in the other team's jungle, and it just didn't seem like it was worth the commit or the time he used to apply that pressure. A lot of times it didn't seem to bear fruit for him. Didn't get close enough to get the smite, didn't get the steal. But then in other games, he would be on top of that. He would take the blue or red buff and just make it out clean as can be.
Yeah. So last season, he was the king of first blood, king of counter jungling, and he's trying to regain that title, but it's just not the case right now. I don't think that's going to be the case for the rest of the season. Right now, they're currently sitting in like 3rd, 4th place, tied with everybody else who's 1-1, but a bunch of good flashes from them. The biggest question I have for Team Liquid and their biggest fault right now is Piglet is way underperforming. He's the 2nd worst ADC in North America right now. He has the most deaths, the least amount of kills, least amount of CS, least amount of gold. He's bottom in almost every stinking category, and it's really shown. His positioning in all of these team fights have been really, really bad. Our first video, we talked how ADC didn't matter much anymore because they weren't an AD carry, and now they're more ADP, and he has not learned the P part in ADP. His positioning has been way off so far this first weekend.
A lot of that could be also attributed to Matt in the bottom lane. It seemed as a support, he was applying a little too much pressure. There was a few kills that he stole from Piglet that definitely could have given him the boost that he needed to be more damage carry.
Yeah. So you're totally right about that. Matt had the most kills out of supports. He had 8. But if you take those kills from Matt and put those on Piglet, it's still Piglet's stats are still middle of the pack. He would have been tied with 6th as the 6th best ADC. And coming into this spring split, I really thought he was going to be top 3rd at least, 1, 2, or 3. Granted, it is only week 1, and they, can get over the communication or their little kerfuffle issues that they have right now. But man, just Team Liquid's bottom lane is really dragging them down right now, and it's cost them a couple of matches.
I like to say that the confidence that Matt has shown, definitely being much more aggressive, was a good thing. It just needs to be tapered a little bit more, or Piglet needs to be in the position to capture those kills.
Yeah, because I mean, they have a strong mid laner, strong top laner. Lorlo's only died 3 times in 5 matches, which is incredibly impressive. Yeah, just cut up a few things, make their jungle play a little bit better, and their bot lane come into fruition. And I think that we have a really solid team for a first place team, or at least 1, 2, or 3. So yeah.
We're going to take you to some highlights from that game, just so you can see what we're talking about.
small step for man. One small step for man, giant leap for mankind. Giant leap for mankind.
What man can imagine, man can be. Cause what man can imagine, man can be.
One small step for man, giant leap for mankind.
Cause what man can imagine, man can be.
Now, I want to end on Echo Fox this week, not because they're in the bottom with Envy, but because they're the team I could see with the most improvement going forward in the season. They had great early game, and then into the mid game, it seems like the shot calling or the team seemed to falter, even though the jungler was doing a great job setting up his solo lanes to get that extra pressure.
Yeah, so this weekend was definitely the weekend of the rookies. Almost every rookie on every team really performed really well. And that couldn't be said any more than for Echo Fox's jungler Arcadian. He came out and performed hardcore, either picking up the first blood in every match or facilitating that first blood in every match. They had so many games where they had such a strong first 30 minutes, but their games are going 45, 50 minutes every time. And those last 10, 15 minutes, those shot calling is terrible. I don't know who their shot caller is or who their team leader is, but they're losing at Elder Dragon fights, Baron fights, and those one team fights or two team fights that they lose cost them every match. Every sort of lead that their jungler gets for them, they don't turn into an objective at all. He's either going out so far out to just get kills that he's losing a lot of life and has to back, or he just goes back into his own jungle. Instead of taking camps and denying gold or turning his kills into objectives, he's going back way too often. And I think that's just because he's rookie. I think they're just rookie mistakes. But he should be taking all those kills that he's getting or all those kills that he's facilitating in and turning them into objectives.
Yeah, the pressure wasn't being applied in the right lanes. That wasn't getting them towers. It seems like they would get kills in the solo lane and then not capitalize that by taking the tower in that lane. He would either roam to a different lane to see if he can apply pressure or back and expend his gold. This is definitely something that can be corrected pretty easy.
Yeah.
Obviously, their coaches are going to be able to see this and improve on that. And that's why I think this team can definitely shine in the second half of the split.
Oh, yeah. So this is just week 1. They're 0-2. They easily could be 2-0. I just think I really put a lot of this on their lap of their rookie jungler. He performed the best on their team, but he also performed the worst. I think his calling out other junglers, like calling out Inori in game 1, shows a lot of confidence and cockiness, but he wasn't able to back that up. He spent too much time trying to personally seek out and destroy Inori than do anything else, and it cost them the game because Inori started getting his kills and took off because everything that he was getting, he would turn into a dragon or a tower. Every time Arcadian was getting a kill, he was getting a kill, BMing, and then backing. Big time rookie mistakes out of him, and easily corrected. They easily could be 2-0 instead of 0-2. It's just I'm putting a lot of that on Arcadian right now.
There was some great plays out of Froggen too. His Anivia was still really good. Obviously, he's the Anivia king. So, I mean, this team is definitely poised to take a higher position than ninth place.
Yeah, so they left their top lane alone. You can obviously tell that there's communications issues up there, but even leaving him alone to do his own thing, he performed really, really well. And if you want to talk about Froggen, the application of a rapid-fire cannon on a Twisted Fate, that was a great build. That was very impressive. To be able to extend his gold card out, nobody was able to account for that. And he was hitting gold card after gold card. They would think, I'm way outside the range of this gold card, and then boom, double distance gold card, locking somebody down. Jungle being able to follow up on that. I mean, getting kill after kill after kill. Granted, because their late game started falling off, he did have to get rid of that rapid fire cannon for some more offensive output in the AP category. But it was very impressive. If they could have taken their early game lead and done something with it and won some of those matches, it was a really interesting build. It was great all the way around for their team.
So we're going to take you to some clips to show you all those first blood kills that Acadian was able to stack up for his team.
Yeah.
Right, he actually played really bad that split, and he had 4 good games where he cheesed people pretty much. But he did really well when he cheesed. He's very good at playing from ahead, but I don't know. My experience, at least, playing against him and practices and stuff is all right, guys, you gotta play safe for the first 5 minutes, and then if he doesn't cheese you or anything like that, nothing weird happens, he just sucks. So.
One small step for man, giant leap for mankind. One small step for man. One small step for man, giant leap for mankind.
thought that we didn't get to cover, like Immortals and how well Dardoch has improved, and not just his skill, but his maturity, with a great series against TSM, having to come back from them stealing Barons and everything like that. It'll be really interesting to see all the different storylines, how they develop in the coming weeks with each team on how they rise and fall. As always, this has been another episode of Running Down the Mid. Again, we would like to thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, leave some comments so we have some sort of feedback for us. And as always, good game.
Good game.